Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, all members are present. Approval of the agenda, we have one addition in the consent agenda, temporary extension of the outdoor liquor permit, Shaney's Tavern. Is there?
One additional, EDA report, 6A.
Okay, 6A, EDA report. Any other changes? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those two additions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second? Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of minutes, July 19th, 2017, regular meeting. Is there any changes, corrections, clarification?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Dave to approve the minutes of the July 19th, 2017. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Now is our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one in the audience or anywhere, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. That will now take us into our reports and presentations, the EDA report.
Okay, the EDA met today in regular session at noon. A couple items on their agenda. They did receive a report from the Chamber of Commerce on the Sinclair Lewis Days activities. I think it was very successful, but they are taking comments, a lot of good compliments, and also a couple ideas to even make it better next year. Received the update on the apartment complex project. The final abatement contract numbers will be available at the September meeting, and that is we get all the assessments and all those kinds of things put together so the contract can be finalized. We discussed, we have a proposal on the industrial park business opportunity in the old lighting building, and so has continual people interested in that building. It's a nice piece of property, and I'm confident we'll be able to get someone in there soon. And the small cities grant dollars from a prior project, that was when we had the SCDP grant back in 10 years, more than 10 years ago now, when the city received $1.185 million, and we gave it in grants and zero interest loans out to the public. And the HRA, Stearns County HRA, administered that on our behalf. We have now, that's all been turned back to the city. So the existing contracts, the available cash, and the receivables are all back to the city. We currently have $107,000 turned back in cash and $262,000 in receivables. So this is all for future use, whether it's match for a future grant or to give back out to the public, and it's for rental rehab, commercial or residential. So it was pretty a complex grant, and for those of you that were here, you know what it is. If you're not, you come in any time if you want to know what that was all about. And so the EDA is going to decide and have a recommendation on how those funds should be used. Also, the state came out with a proposal to release the restrictions on the revolving loan fund dollars that were MIF, Minnesota Investment Fund, in their beginning. And they said, well, we'd remove the restrictions if you give us 20% of what's in your fund. The EDA has to make a recommendation on that as well. We don't have to let them know until 2018, but if you hear that the state released some red tape, that's what it is, in exchange for 20% of the balance of our fund. And then our TIF reports have been completed and submitted for last year. And then also now there is a grant out there that might help cover the cost of certifying our 59 acres around the truck stop. We certify that as shovel ready. And then I also do have a commercial broker that is interested in professionally marketing the property. So I've asked him to come back to the next meeting and give us a proposal. So trying to get ready on making some of those things happen, and maybe we'll have good news next time. But I have no action for you tonight.
Questions? Comments? Okay, we'll then move on to our action items. 7A, approve appointment for prospective EMTs for classes.
Our ambulance director, Kathy Struvert, has requested that the city council approve 2 candidates to attend EMT training. There is a class beginning on August 22nd at St. Cloud Tech. She recommends that we authorize Shannon Olson Anderson to attend the EMT courses pending the positive background check. Upon successful completion, she will be appointed as a probationary EMT. She has a flexible schedule, so she's the person that we would be wanting to put on our day shift. The second authorization to attend future schooling is Ben Klink. He's one of our firemen, and as you recall, last meeting, we appointed him as a driver for the ambulance. He's interested in taking the classes and becoming an EMT, and then his EMT classes would come later, but she just wanted to kind of get that in the works. So what we're looking for tonight is to approve Shannon Olson Anderson and Ben Klink to attend EMT classes on behalf of the city, and of course, that would be pending the successful background.
Questions, comments? It's a good thing we still have people interested in becoming EMTs. So.
Absolutely.
Do I have a motion to approve Shannon Olson Anderson and Ben Klink to attend EMT classes on behalf of the city of Sauk Center?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve amendment to annual benefit for retired firemen.
The Sauk Center Fire Relief has approved and is requesting affirmation by the City Council that its annual benefit rate be increased by $100 per year of service. This would bring their total benefit per year of service to $2,000. And what it is it's paid to eligible firefighters when they retire, and it's based on it. So like a $2,000 per year times how many years you've been in service is what your retirement benefit is. The investments of the Relief Association, they're the source of that revenue for that payment, and it is funded through a combination of state aid and also municipal contributions. So every year we do a contribution to the fire relief, and that goes into that fund as well. They do have an investment portfolio, and right now it does calculate that it would pay 101% of all retired firefighters if everyone retired today. Of course, they're not all eligible to, but if everybody was done today, that would cover 101% of it. And, you know, the city has to approve this because although it's funded by the fire relief, if there's ever a shortfall, the city council or the city then is responsible to make up that payment. And so I did include for you a history of the pension per year of service over the past actually 22 years, how much that rate has increased over the years. And then at budget time, we usually budget about $3,500 that we put into that fund. And if you recall, a few years ago, when the stock market and everything kind of went way down, their investment portfolio went down, and so this 101% wasn't there anymore. So the city actually had to make municipal contributions of, you know, like $56,000 one year, and I think 20-some thousand dollars one year. And so that's why we like to watch how much we pay out, because the more they get, the bigger risk it is to the city. So that is why it's in front of you. But as I showed you, they do have 101%. So what we're looking for tonight is to acknowledge the Fire Relief Association's increase in the annual benefit from $1,900 to $2,000.
Questions?
I suppose unless you have a crystal ball, you don't know if we're gonna be on the hook or not.
I do have a crystal ball. I do, it's up in my office.
Sooner or later, the stock market will go down.
As of today, we're fine, that's what it told me.
That's, I will make a motion unless there were questions.
Any other questions? Keith?
I'll make a motion that we, make the increase.
Okay. We have a motion by Keith to acknowledge the Fire Relief Association's increase in the annual benefit amount from $1,900 to $2,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments, questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve pay request number 2 for Casey State Project, Molitor.
This is the second pay request that we have received for that project. It's pretty much wrapped up for this year. There will be a second lift that will have to go on it next year. We have paid to date $72,000. The amount due tonight is $49,732.31. We would expect our final payment next year after the lift it's been completed. So our request tonight is to approve pay request number 2 for the W.H. Cates Street and Utility Project to Molitor.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 2 for the W.H. Cates Street Utility Project?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second? I'll second it. Any other comments, questions? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approve pay request number 2 for airport project, Kramer Excavating.
This is the second pay request we've had for the airport improvement project. They have completed to date $531,521, of which we have had a retainage, and then we paid $113,000 last meeting, so the amount due tonight is $391,771.69.
Questions? Comments? Is everything on schedule yet?
Everything is on schedule, yes. We're actually a little ahead of schedule.
Good, okay. Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 2 for airport project, Kramer Trucking and Excavating Incorporated?
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Diane, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Brings us to unfinished business, 8A, grader repair.
Matt is here to answer any questions you would have on the grader, but we did bring forward some numbers for you tonight with several different options for the road grader. We had one option where we would just repair it completely, have it outsourced and have it done. That was option 1, which is about $21,000, worst case scenario. We kind of have the subtotal there, and then we had possible adds once they get into the engine. So the subtotal was about $14,000, but there's possible adds up to $21,000 if we just farm it out. The second option was to have the city to remove the engine and deliver it to the repair, and they would repair the engine and then help reinstall it. And that had a cost of $8,800, but of course, if those extra adds go on there, it could go up to $16,000. So there's about a $4,000 difference in their city labor if the city were to help repair it. A couple other things. Another options are to purchase a used motor grader. I included in there, RDO had, several from 2002 to 2012, anywhere from $45,000 to $160,000. That's an option. Option to contract it all out, the grading, including some of the snow removal, have a grader come in and help on snow removal days, plus grade the gravel. And there's another option is to contract out the summer grading and then perhaps get an additional loader with snow equipment for the winter. So you see there's tons of different options here. And so we thought we'd bring it back before the council before we fine tune anything to see if you have some recommendations, if you would like it to go to the operations committee to kind of ferret out a final recommendation. Or if you have any questions for Matt here tonight, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
Just, Matt, what's your feeling on, not that we're gonna go with them, but
We're kind of at a roadblock. We get about 100 hours on the grader every year. So not a lot of use. We get some summer use, but it's an emergency piece of equipment in the winter because we do all the wind rowing with it for the snow blower. And we paid $200,000 for the snow blower. So that type of equipment you can't pencil out, to justify it based on the hours of use.
And
So it's
that's
similar to that.
that's about the only piece of equipment that will do that wind rowing.
Yeah, I mean, we thought about using trucks and stuff to utilize it, but it wouldn't be near as effective.
Okay.
And then we also at the same time use those trucks to haul snow. So it's kind of one and the other. So the one option is to contract it out, and that'd be about $100 to $110 an hour. So that's $10,000, 10 years, 100,000. And that's give or take, 80 to 100 hours. Another idea, which was brought to me by different cities are actually doing it, and it's you put a wing on a blade, and so you set up a loader. So you set up a second loader. And what you're doing is you get your second loader, which is more multi-use throughout the year, and then you have your snow equipment on it, so we'd windrow with the loader, and one loader would blow. And then in the case you got hung, you have a backup loader. Also, it's kind of, we're gonna need to look at changing out our loader in the near future, because it's an O2 and it's getting a lot of hours, and we're gonna be in the same situation we are with this blade. So one option to possibly do would be is to lease a loader for the winter, see how it goes, and then look at purchasing in the spring with the lease reduction. Or we simply stick with what we have, and our repair costs are gonna be equivalent to what the grader might be worth when we're done. So it's like spend 15 to get 15. But you might get 10 years out of it if you continue to go down that road. Just stay doing what we're doing. So it's kind of a real roadblock. I mean, we can purchase equipment at a reduced rate compared to everybody else, so it's really easy for us to buy new, except for we have to put the money up front to purchase the equipment. We purchase it cheaper, and then if we resale it within a reasonable amount of time without putting a lot of hours on, which we don't, then that value's right there and you just keep going with it and using our purchasing authority. So it's a big commitment to get there, but there's some security in it for sure.
Were you to contract out the grading?
Yep, I have several, or I shouldn't say several, but there's interest in it.
Would you be able to get that? I mean, do they contract to other cities or other entities?
Townships mainly. So what I'd be doing is when they're blading townships, so this blade's already active. So I'd be getting it 1 AM to 5 AM, and then it would go.
Okay, but they
So-
would get first. I suppose theirs would get plowed first.
No, like if we're going down that road, we're the priority, like, because what would happen to me is if I call and I want them and they don't show, I got 8 guys standing there looking around.
Yeah.
So it's not, that's where my concern is versus having my guy. What it does do for me though is it frees up another guy for me. So if I contract it out, that's bringing another guy into the game. So that's advantageous to me. It's just, you know,
One more
the
truck,
loyalty
right?
part of it. And I don't think that would be really a big issue.
Okay.
I don't, but it's, that risk is there versus us operating it.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, I just say, at this point, it's just send it to committee, so
Right,
that's
and with
easy
the
enough,
number
yeah.
of options that are laid out here, and
Mhm.
just
Lot of
getting in
stuff to
front
work
of us
through,
right
yep.
now, I
Yeah.
think it would make sense to go to operations and,
Yep, it's kind of a pivoting point. Like if we want to look at something, doing something
Right.
different, we just want to keep playing the same game.
and one of the things is, you know, yeah, we're putting 100 hours on a year, but eventually those gravel roads are gonna be gone. It's in the plan to get rid of them,
Yep.
so now
Right.
the hours are gonna be down to maybe half that amount.
So another interest in that loader is a lot of those one block sections, we could be blading with our belly blades on our plows,
Right.
trucks. So, I mean, we could be doing a lot of little touch-up stuff throughout the summer. And Hickman, we would just contract to have it bladed and then, you know, coated. And then we usually don't touch it much for the whole summer then.
See, I know.
So the blade is kind of losing its use.
Outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've asked a couple of your guys, or one guy for sure, if we use it at the airport, and he says it's really not usable out there, it's faster with the trucks.
Oh, we don't plow with it out there at all.
Right.
No, we've actually gotten to the point, they used to do a little plowing around, like they did,
Yeah.
Park Road and Hickman
And
with it,
Hickman
and
and-
we've actually gotten to the point where we're trying to use more trucks, and what the blade does now is just our snow removal downtown.
Right.
Takes that big windrow for us, and,
Now, I know the city of Melrose does, they got a blade in the front of their payloader, but
Oh,
I
the
don't
city of
know if
Melrose
they've got
uses-
2 payloaders. though.
uses 2 loaders.
They do.
The city of
Okay.
Melrose uses 2 loaders, no blower, and they, push everything off of Main around the corner, and they pile 1 block away.
Okay.
And they do that with 2 loaders. And we're committed to the blower, because we've already made that big purchase.
Right, yep.
And we don't have anywhere to go with it 1 block away either. So,
All right, well, is general consensus this goes to operations committee then?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. 8B, concrete floor and cold storage building.
Okay, this was the concrete floor estimates that I had brought up to the council before, and we were asked to get some estimates just to kind of see what kind of money we were looking at. We did get 2 estimates from 2 local vendors for the project, Schmies Concrete and A&H Concrete, and we also got an additional quote to run in the utilities. And then another option is to leave like a square unconcreted in the corner for bringing in future utilities. So we kind of have some ideas there about how that could work. And so what we're looking for is, I know that it was taken out of the budget for this year, but then also we have those dollars from the sale of the transit shed and the small city street dollars. And so we're looking at maybe there's a way that with this low price here that we might be able to accomplish it this year. And so I think this is something we want to get some feedback from you, whether we want to take it to the Finance or Operations Committee and just get a kind of a final recommendation, or if you have any more questions for Matt, or how we want to proceed with it.
Questions, concerns?
You almost have to run utilities if you're gonna be concreting, I would assume.
Well, or you leave an empty spot to do later.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, my feeling is for $4,600,
Yeah.
just concrete it all and have it all done.
Well,
All we're really talking about is, roughing in the plumbing and getting it outside the building for future hookup.
Yeah.
my concern is, well, this was a budget item last fall for this year, and we cut it out. But it keeps magically appearing regardless of us saying no once. I kinda,
Well, we don't have to agree with it right now anyway.
no.
I mean, largely
No,
it comes
right.
down to this building was designed for a concrete floor.
But it
isn't in there.
was basically cold storage.
Yep.
And I'm trying to figure out why we need to have concrete in that cold storage building. And I guess if Matt can answer that question, why it's such a push to get it done.
well, there's 2 main reasons. One is cleanliness. Everything we pull out of there is filthy dirt. 2 would be moving heavy equipment around in there. We're constantly rutting it up, and it's just loose, sandy soil in there. So those are the main reasons, essentially. And it's just use. That's what it amounts to.
These estimates are for this year.
Oh, yeah, they're current. And so what the utility option that we really chose to do was to go into the street to First Street. So we'd be bringing it into the northeast corner of the building. So leaving the utilities out, not a big deal, because we'd stub them in and they'd sit there unused anyway until future use of finishing the building or water use in there. So that's really not a high demand, it's just informational. We've designated where we wanted to do it because there was some concern about going the other direction. But I think we pinpoint where it should go, or the cheapest route anyway. And so simply leaving a section of it unfinished would be easy because it's in the northeast corner. It ain't gonna affect the shed floor much at all. And basically we run in there and we're stacking stuff. We got some racking in there, all the Christmas decorations, everything's getting funneled into that shed essentially. That's all we got.
Okay. Just one thing that I think would happen is, we mentioned we sold a couple of things, so we got this extra money. Let's decide what we're gonna do with the road grader, because we ain't got the money to fix the road grader. And we might end up using that money from them 2 sales to fix the road grader, rather than say, okay, let's do the concrete floor, and then find out we run into budget problems on.
They're kind of 2 different funding sources, though. One is equipment funding and this is buildings.
Well, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, if we can just hold off until after our budget meeting, the end of
Yeah,
this month.
because this
to
is
decide on
basically a
anything.
non-budget item,
Right.
because we cut it out.
We cut it out, but if there is, from other, like you said, sale of other items, it's an
You know,
option.
It's an option.
I think that's fine. I mean, now we know it's about $24,000 to
Right.
concrete that building out.
Yeah, and even if we end up doing it next year, it isn't gonna, how long, that building's been there for how many years now? And I remember being on the council when we approved the cold storage, and it was never meant to be concreted out.
The fire storage side is concreted out simply
Yeah,
for
but they paid
cleanliness.
for that.
That, maybe, I don't know, it wasn't here. But, and then to bring attention to you, that's also for like a 12-foot apron along the whole front of the building,
Okay,
okay? So that includes the apron. And then the intent then is to go from that apron and then repave that entrance area to the other building. Because there's some drainage issues there, everything sheets towards the other building. So the future plan with there is to get the apron in place, then eventually pave that parking lot a little better,
okay.
so.
So there's more to it, so basically. it
Down the
should
road,
probably-
yep, it's one step at
Probably
a
should go
time.
to, operations
Yeah.
first and. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, send that to operations too, I would think, general consensus on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Brian.
We have no new business. Brings us to the consent agenda. Schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $1,260,000 and $1,260,847.55. Paid claims of $535.18 for a total of $1,261,382.73. We have Resolution 2017-49, accepting contributions from the Girl Scouts Troop Number 145 of $360.95 to be allocated to the parks. I want to thank the Girl Scout Troop Number 145 for that contribution on behalf of the city. We have a request from Missy Terrace, DBA Mustang Bar Incorporated, for temporary extension of premise permit for first anniversary with music on September 8th and 9th, 2017, in the back parking lot, Meads Building and Old Main Street Drug Building from 9 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. And we have a request from Sunshine Shaney, DBA Shaney's Tavern, for a temporary extension of premise permit for an outdoor band in back parking lot on September 1st from 11 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. And we had a request that we handle D, 10D on a separate vote.
Right.
Is that the request number D, that's 11 a.m.
It's like a day thing, yeah,
On the 1st till 12:30 a.m. on
yes.
The band, I don't
I
think.
don't think the
plays.
band will play the whole time,
on the 2nd.
the 1st, September, no, which one are you
It's-
talking about?
September 1st,
The September 1st one is for the one day,
yeah.
but it starts earlier in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
But from what I understood, the band isn't gonna be playing all day, it's basically from 9 until 12:30. Or maybe 8 to 12:30, from what I've
8
been,
p.m.
yes.
Okay, this says a.m. 11 a.m.
Yeah, it says 11 a.m. I
The
think so.
event starts at 11, the
events.
outdoor event, but the band doesn't play the whole time.
Right. You understand?
Well, it'd be 12:30 a.m. on the 2nd.
Right. Okay, I see what
She put 12:30 PM.
she does.
Yep. She
Oh.
put 11 AM to 12:30 PM.
Oh, on the application.
Oh, on
the
The application
application.
did, yeah.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be AM on the application.
right, yeah. Okay, so that's supposed to be AM. Okay. Everything's clarified on that?
Yeah, no, I'm.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
I'd like to request that item D we vote on separate.
Okay. Yep, I stated that before, we
Okay,
can do that.
Thank you,
so.
thank you. Otherwise, if you want a motion, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to accept A, B, and C
Right.
by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. The request from Shaney's Tavern for their temporary extension. Concerns?
I have a concern, and the last time that they had this, they went over their time limit of 12:30. I wound up, it was so loud, I wound up calling the police at 20 to 1, and they were still playing. And, I mean, if they're not gonna follow what we agree here, then I don't want to vote to approve it again, unless I have an ironclad guarantee that they're gonna stop at 12:30.
Any other comments,
Well,
concerns?
It's very reasonable. If it was the first time, last time, I would certainly make it clear that
Yeah,
none of that.
Yep.
yeah. So, okay. Do we have a motion to grant the temporary extension of premise permit to Shaney's Tavern for a band in the back parking lot on September 1st?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Heidi. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other comments, concerns?
What, is that the motion on the table though? Wasn't
Yes.
it
To accept.
To accept,
To allow them
do you
to
allow
do
them to
their-
have it?
With 1, 2, and 3?
No,
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 we're
we
just
did 1,
voting
2,
on
and
D.
3 already.
This is just D.
Just
Okay,
D.
This is just D,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
Okay. No,
So-
that's all I have
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Me.
Abstentions? 4 in favor, 1 against.
Thank you.
Informational items, budget workshop and charter communications. Vicki?
In the budget workshop, I sent out an email to everybody to get their feedback and gave them 4 or 5 dates, and August 24th got the most votes. If it works for you, that's what we'll do. And I did have one staff member that it didn't work out so good, but they could make it work. So I think that's probably the date, if that's okay.
Okay.
And then charter communications, I just included their programming, upcoming programming changes. They send these quite often, of course, to tell you what's being changed and how the rates are going to go up. So that's for that. And then if Keith is here, so if you have any questions regarding the progress on the feasibility report for the 2018 project, I'm sure you'll be able to answer those questions, unless you just want to let him keep working.
Keith, as long as you're here, you're getting paid. You might as well give us an update on that.
All right, Mayor, Council, quickly, we're speeding through getting the feasibility report put together. At this point in time, we have all of the sanitary sewer, water, and streets, all the costs put together, and we're starting to work through assessment scenarios because as you know, we have the base option, we have Main Street, we have Lakeshore Drive, so we have to do different scenarios for all of those combinations. So we're just starting to get into that. The thing is kind of lagging because we had to wait for some information survey-wise is on the storm sewer because you might not have thought about it, but we actually have to think about the storm sewer for not only the area where we're looking at now, but downstream, which is kind of kitty corner across 71, and figure out that whole system before we know what to do with the current project. So we're just starting to model through that, and so that's lagging behind. Those costs need to get added in, and we'll try to wrap up the feasibility report, hopefully by the end of this month is what I'm looking for, so we can start going forward with our initial review, and then obviously into public hearings and those kinds of things. So that's kind of, in a real quick nutshell, where we're at. Is there any questions anyone might have?
Questions? Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
That brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.